Hi, HRN listeners. We're celebrating our 15th anniversary, and we have a really fun campaign and an ask for you. This 15th anniversary tour is aiming to bring you closer to unique food and music experiences in some of the most exciting cities in America. All the while, we're raising funds to support our work empowering the next generation of food systems storytellers through our fellowship programs. Here's how it works. Donate to HRN and be entered into a raffle in the city of your choice to win a dinner for two at a noteworthy restaurant and tickets for two to a concert at a prominent local venue. We have incredible partners in New York, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Nashville, Las Vegas, Charleston, Asheville, and Ardmore, Pennsylvania, who have donated a meal for two and two tickets to a concert of the winner's choice. And all donations help fund our fellowship programs, where we're helping to build essential workforce readiness skills and food system storytelling skills. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15. Thank you.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network. HRN is food and beverage radio supported by you. Learn more at heritageradionetwork.org.
This episode is brought to you by Diageo Bar Academy. Learn more at diageobaracademy.com. That's DIAGEO baracademy.com.
So you don't charm the devil with your rock and roll load. Knows that country music's gonna save your soul. The devil runs his groove in them rhythm and blues that sound. It's gonna get you some in the end.
Welcome back to The Speakeasy. I'm Damon Bolte.
And I'm Greg Benson.
Greg,
Hey, man.
how are we doing?
I'm doing well. It's fall out here in New York. What about out in California? Do you get fall? Do you have seasons? Are you doing daylight savings time? I don't even know. It's like a different world over there, man.
Well, are we even doing that this year? I mean, I thought we were going to 86 daylight savings.
That's what I thought, but it's not signed. And also California has indicated that they still want to do it. And it really is just,
I don't get it.
I know, I don't get it. And it is bringing me face to face with the kind of, scary legislative effects that we have on like time, like something as inescapable and constant as time that we also sort of make up for ourselves as human beings. It's weird, man. But speaking of time, you did something that you haven't done in a long time recently, right?
Oh, over the weekend? Oh, yeah. My band played our second show since the cooling down of COVID. So yeah, it was really fun. We played at this place called Perry's. The actual name of it is Perry's Silver Dollar Bar, which they don't go by the full name, and I think they should. It sounds way cooler. But it's this old school, it's in Fairfax. It's an old, kind of neighborhood bar with some nice natural lighting and kind of like glass bricks. It actually reminds me of, just to say this real quick, this guy, Scotty, just kind of took over the program, and it actually instilled a cocktail program in there, and just like strong classics and some just nice modern twists. It reminds me a lot of like Long Island Bar, if that makes any sense. An old kind of dinery feeling place, kind of Formica, bar top, all that. And what's cool about it is they have live music there. Obviously, we played, and the cool thing is, not so cool thing is that during the pandemic, a place called Terrapin Crossroads closed, and that was a place that was owned by Phil Lesh from the Grateful Dead. It was considered the Grateful Dead headquarters here in San Rafael, California. And so when they shut down, they had 3 different stages, and Perry's actually got hold of the sound system from one of the stages. So the sound in there is awesome, and it feels like we never got to play at Terrapin Crossroads, but we're kind of doing it. So anyway, but the cool thing is, yes, it does feel kind of like fall here. But I don't know, Northern California does get some seasonality. And my favorite season for cocktails is the fall, because, you start getting into those very, very, Northeastern vibes, with those cocktails, your classics, like Manhattans and old fashions, things that are stirred and boozy and bitter, so I love this time of year.
No, absolutely.
I hate when it gets super cold, which is why I don't really spend too much time in New York these days, but it's a great time for cocktails.
No, totally. And the other problem when it gets super cold is that you get the barrage of hot toddy variations that are out there. And I'm a traditionalist. I like my coffee hot and my cocktails cold. I respect people who have differing opinions from me, but they are wrong. But yeah, no, you're right. It's a really great time of year to just kind of like get back to basics. Like I went and visited a really good friend of mine at her bar over the weekend, and they have a really great cocktail program. But I was like, you know what? I just want a Manhattan. And then for my second drink, I was like, you know what? I just want a martini, like those kind of more sort of warming, stick to your ribs type of thing. I'm living in perpetual fear of the day that I see the first pumpkin spice latte espresso martini on a menu. But, through the grace of whatever goddess is running the universe, I haven't seen it yet. So, maybe I've just planted the seed of my own destruction by saying that out loud into a microphone. But so far, it's been a really good season to connect with kind of more sort of, get back to your roots, the more kind of like, the real like 1800s classics, which is really nice.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just so you know, we did do a PSL style cocktail at Grand Army a couple falls ago. But it's one of those things where we did it more out of more pretty much how you described it. Like we just wanted to get ahead of the game. We wanted to be like one of the first to do it, and it was pretty good. But it's still a pumpkin spice thing. So.
Well, and also, I mean, the success of the pumpkin spice latte didn't come out of nowhere, right? I mean, like it's a testament to the fact that like we as human beings really enjoy like cinnamon and nutmeg and clove and allspice and sugar in the same place, So that in and of itself is not a bad formula. I don't think that is a bad idea inherently. But I do think that when I saw pumpkin spice hummus at Trader Joe's the other day, that was an abomination, and we should treat it as such. So there is a line. I don't know where it is. I couldn't tell you where it is specifically, but I can tell you what's over it.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about it this way. So we had Robert Simonson on the show last week, right? And we were talking about modern classics, and he said, first of all, it has to go beyond the bar that it was created at, right? People have to like it. That's probably one of the most important parts of it. And people freaking love pumpkin spice latte. So that is in the canon of like non-alcoholic beverages. It's probably one of the most viral modern classics on that side of the bar, But speaking of Robert Simonson and things that he really enjoys, he actually wrote up recently a bar in Harlem that is doing some really incredible stuff. I don't know if you've been up there yet, but there's this place. It's called Sugar Monk. And I've only seen their website because, again, I haven't been to New York as much as I normally would this year. But I've been reading about this place, seeing posts, and they're doing some really incredible stuff. I've often said, one of the most important things, the first thing really to creating a nice cocktail is make it visually stunning, because that's the first sense you're going to use. With cooking, it's olfactory. With cocktails, typically it's visual. So I've only been able to see some photos of this place and of the cocktails and food, but it's visually stunning. And luckily, today we actually have the co-founder and co-owner of this place, Sugar Monk, up in Harlem. Actually, it's 2 blocks away from the Apollo also, so you can go get a drink before a show, or after, or both. But we do want to welcome to the show our good friend Hectoris Benicos from Sugar Monk. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, guys. Pleasure talking to you. Thanks for inviting me
here. This is awesome. I was scrolling through your photo gallery on your website earlier, and I had to change tabs on my internet browser because I was getting too distracted and honestly thirsty and hungry just by looking at this. And it's like 9:30 a.m. out here in California, so it's too early for me to have these cravings. But yeah, welcome to the show. Let's just get into this. Where did this all begin? Take us to the beginning.
Of course, yes. Well, I think the whole thing started with Dad in Greece. I'm from Greece, from a small island on the Aegean Sea called Ikaria. And my dad was an amateur distiller. So we'll go and make wine, and then we'll take the skin of the grapes and we'll make grappa. Mm-hmm. And raki, which is similar to grappa. And it was illegal, so we'll do that at night. And I was 14 years old, very young. And then that he will use a lot of botanicals to flavor the grappa. So I got the bug early on, I think, from my father, yeah. And, also my mom will make like homemade liqueurs using, the high proof grappa. She will infuse like cherries and, walnuts and that sort of thing. So that's how the whole thing started. And then I moved to New York at the age of 21 to continue with my studies. And I started working as a bar back by accident in a bar. And then I became a bartender. And the rest is history.
Is there like, you're talking about getting into this at 14 years old.
Yeah.
We often talk about different drinking cultures around the world. And, like, for instance, talk about like in Italy and sometimes talk about in France, like where they'll have like essentially watered down wine at the dinner table. Right. Is that something that's common?
Definitely. I mean, I was able to have wine, diluted wine, and very little because my parents are very, careful about that. At 15, I think. I tasted a little bit of the grappa, and I thought it was disgusting because it was so strong. But you get introduced very early on, especially with wine. So, and by the age of 18, obviously you're allowed to drink, anything you want. So, but it's wonderful because, it's such a social thing to sit around the table and, and in Greece, especially in the island I come from, everybody mingles together, like old and young and babies and grandmothers. Actually, the name of the island is called Ikaria, and it's one of the 5 places on Earth that people live the longest. They call them blue zones. And one of the they apparently think that they say that people kind of like linger much longer than anybody else is the fact that the social structure is very different than us here in the US, for example, that, generations are all like gathered together at all times and they're having fun, Yeah. So my grandmother was in her 80s when I was like a young boy, and she would, drink wine with us, and, she was a part of, our social gatherings at all times. So,
yeah, I think there's a lot of ageism in the United States. It's a thing where, I even see it with some younger bartenders where they're always like hovering around the guests that are like closer to their own age, and they're not really paying attention to anyone older or younger than them. It's kind of a funny thing. So that's an interesting thing. Then you think that the working theory is that just that social interaction is keeping people alive longer?
Well, they say it's one of them. The other thing is sex. They're having sex until they're very, very old. And, also it's a very steep island. It's a big mountain, cliffs. And so people walk all the time. And, so the heart, you get a good amount of cardiovascular exercise every day. Also the diet, obviously. They eat, mostly a vegetarian diet and some fish, seafood, and very little meat. The islands produce the most amazing honey, guys. Oh my God, it's so amazing. So, so there are a lot of, they eat yogurt, they eat honey, it's well known. It's becoming a very, very famous spot now in the world. So
I'm going there for my honeymoon.
Should.
Yeah, we're going. We are.
Will you just decide that right now after hearing this great sales pitch?
You've sealed the deal, but yeah, that's the plan is to go to Greece on our honeymoon.
No, it's a very special little country, very beautiful, obviously, and fun people, and of course I'm from there, but so yeah.
Also, Greek wine. People always talk about French and Italian wine, but Greek wine is incredible.
It's incredible. They've been making wine for thousands of years, and the terroir, it's so rich with minerals, and you have such a variety and so many different wine terroirs. And they all make very distinctive different varieties, and I mean, it's a very vibrant, actually, wine scene right now in Greece, and
Yeah.
a lot of young, winemakers that they study in Bordeaux, or whatever, and so they bring on the new techniques, and they're making really beautiful wines,
Oh yeah.
especially whites. Yeah,
Exactly. I mean, well, but I want to touch on that because you just mentioned Bordeaux. So the funny
Yeah.
thing about Bordeaux, I've been there a couple times, and the thing that really caught me off guard, and I wanted to kind of touch on this because I know that, like, there's like, there's a lot of there's like a crazy nightlife that happens in a lot of on a lot of Greek islands and Greek cities, like clubbing nightlife. And when I went to
Yeah.
Bordeaux, I was shocked that like most of the bars that I went to in the city of Bordeaux, like they had a cocktail list and it was all just variations on vodka Red Bulls. Is that like it's something that happens in Greece as well? You think this lovely, like beautiful place, legendary place that makes legendary wines and steeped in history, and then all of a sudden like they're just trying to see how many different variations on vodka Red Bulls they can make. Is that like like what do the locals actually drink in Greece?
actually, you'd be surprised. There's a very vibrant and very sophisticated cocktail scene in Greece right now, which is so exciting. Even in my little island, went to this bar on top of the mountain, in the summer. It was there in September, called it the Treehouse Bar. And it was amazing to find all those creative concoctions. No, there's nothing like that in Greece. I mean, in Athens, of course, also you have some amazing bars like Baba Oram, the Glamsis, etc. The two famous ones. And Baba Oram is one of my favorite. I mean, it's a great bar. Very, high quality cocktails and all that. So I think you should explore the bar scene in Athens when you go.
I'm definitely going to.
Definitely. It's I think you'll be surprised. It's really exciting.
I mean, I only travel to places based on good food and drinks. That's
Well,
like
that's
Why
a
else?
good reason.
I mean, being like I was a global brand ambassador for a while, for many years actually, and like I loved it because I got to visit a lot of places around the world. I didn't get to go to Greece, but I got to visit so many places around the world, and I was, it's a small gin brand, it's Brooklyn Gin, and so like it was very specific for like restaurants and cocktail bars. It was very low production, so we weren't trying to be everywhere, but we were in these very high quality places. So I was only going to places that had really amazing drinks and food. So it was perfect.
Fantastic.
It's the only way to travel.
Wow. That's the best way. Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's talk about so that all this inspired your bar in Harlem. So,
Well, I moved to Harlem about 10 years ago. We bought an apartment with my partner, and we love the neighborhood. There's so much history, and also architecturally it's very beautiful. I mean, beautiful buildings and all that. And I love the culture, the diversity, and that's something I always wanted to experience. We used to live downtown on the East Village, and when I moved to New York, late 80s, early 90s, East Village used to be very diverse, and then changed to a lot of NYU kids and a lot of, sort of yuppies and all that. So
Right.
it was exciting for me to come up to Harlem. And I had another speakeasy downtown. I was the managing partner of Second Floor on Clinton. We closed the place in 2015. So the last year also was very hard for me to go up and down. So I wanted to create something locally, close to my apartment in Harlem.
Mhm.
And then we sat down and we thought about the concept of Sugar Monk and what it would be. And we wanted to create a space that would be warm and inclusive. And we wanted to, have a lot of creative people coming in and, share a cocktail or whatever, a bite of food, some wine, and be able to communicate and talk, and and everybody's welcome, and that sort of thing. So we created Sugar Monk. Also, we thought about the early speakeasies during the Harlem Renaissance. During the Harlem Renaissance, it was a very vibrant speakeasy scene in Harlem that people kind of found rescue or found a lot of marginalized people. They a lot of gay people came from downtown, a lot of writers, a lot of African Americans, obviously, and they will go and will hang out at those speakeasies and drink and feel free and and happy. So we want to create something that will be, as I mentioned, very inviting for everybody, and sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say that seems to be like, I mean, we kind of had to do this whole speakeasy, like exclusive thing to like get everyone interested in these classic cocktails and modern mixology. But then it was like, all right, enough people are interested in this. Like, let's open the doors to everyone. So let's make it more inclusive. Yeah. So
yes,
right?
Absolutely. I mean, we're not exactly a speakeasy. I mean, we are pretty visible and all that, but
right.
People refer us as a speakeasy. But definitely, so it's been fun. I mean, we opened 3 years ago, 2019, and of course, in some ways, it's been very difficult as well because of the pandemic. So we basically, 2/3 of our existence, went on fighting the COVID. We had to close twice. We lost our staff twice. Yeah. And that was very, very difficult. We tried to survive in every possible way, by doing cocktails to go. And, we had a little setup outside with a flimsy tent. So, it was kind of a big silence there. And but we survived and we're doing great again, which is exciting to see the place, full more or less every night. And, and people seem to have a fun time.
Well, it looks incredible. I mean,
thank you so much. Thank you.
For everyone listening out there, you should definitely check them out on Instagram, go to their website. It's sugarmonklounge.com. It's just stunning. And I think we should take a quick little break, but when we come back, I want to talk more about the kind of inspiration that comes with these cocktails and the food as well. So let's talk about that in just a second. We're going to take a quick break. And we'll return to talk with our good friend, our new friend, Hectoras Benicos from Sugar Monk. Back in a few.
The biggest bartending competition in the world is coming. Do you want to be a part of it? Because the November 15th application deadline is quickly approaching for the 2023 season of USBG Presents World Class, sponsored by Diageo. World Class US is more than just a competition. It's a great opportunity for cocktail enthusiasts of every skill level and every background to test themselves, to join a community of industry professionals and really become a stronger bartender. The global finals for this year were in Sydney, Australia, and they looked crazy. Next year's are going to be in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and the competition is open to every bar professional aged 21 and up. Plus, Diageo Bar Academy has a new virtual bar and a members week that's right around the corner on these incredible resources. Visit DiageoBarAcademy.com to build your skills. Take a world-class studio, masterclass, or e-learning class and take charge of your development in the bar industry today. That's DIAGEO baracademy.com. Once again, you gotta be 21 and please drink responsibly. And we are back. You are listening to the Speakeasy here on Heritage Radio Network. Today we're talking with Hectoras Benicos of Sugar Monk up in Harlem. We're talking a little bit about his hometown and his homeland of Greece, and really about a lot of the great food and drink that comes out of there. And it reminded me of the first time I ever had a taste of Greek wine and got those really sort of botanical, almost like medicinally flavors in there. And it really reminded me of like the first time I ever had an IPA when I was like 21 years old and being like, oh my God, I didn't know beer could taste like that. It was so revelatory. Just like, wow, I didn't realize that wines could do that. And it really gave me an appreciation for it and made me want to study a lot of the really cool, interesting botanicals and spices and whatnot that sort of come out of that part of the world. And Ekteros, you're doing something pretty interesting, a project that was born out of the pandemic, but been doing a lot of experimenting with a lot of roots and barks and spices from that part of the world. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, that's the best thing that came out of the pandemic for us. The fact that the first time that they sat us down, I kept three bartenders, actually two bartenders and the bar back, and we kind of set up shop and we created a laboratory there, and we started experimenting with recipes, creating amari and liqueurs and a whole line of mixology products like bitters and sprays and tinctures and the whole thing. And, as I mentioned before, kind of like the whole idea came from my dad when I was a young boy, experimenting with herbs, infusing grappa. Anyway, I love amari. I love amaro. I have, I'm like, I think it's an incredible, spirit, whatever you call it, digestivo. So we created a whole line of, actually we have right now 8 different amari. And we have a whole series called the Partita Amari, that there are 5 different amari inspired by a piece by Johann Sebastian Bach, the Partita number 2 in D minor. And we translated every movement into an amaro. So, and there is an evolution, obviously, through the partita. This is a piece that Bach wrote when his wife Maria died, and they have 9 kids, and he was heartbroken. She died from typhoid, and it's an incredible, heart-wrenching piece. It starts kind of like, almost like, starts with a kind of a light kind of valse, and then develops into this amazing last movement called Chacona, which is very emotional movement. So, so I follow the kind of the evolution of the music, and we create amaro, you start with a light amaro, and then you go to a heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. And the last amaro, which we call it Chacona, after the movement, it's just very, bold and, whimsical and dark and, that sort of thing. So then, I love music. So it seems that I find a lot of inspiration from music for some reason. So I went to see the latest production of Philip Glass opera The Met called Akhenaten, about the Egyptian pharaoh, which is actually an incredible figure in the history of of the world, and in Egypt especially, because he was the first pharaoh to introduce the first monotheistic religion in Egypt. He reigned for about 17 years, and then he was assassinated. The opera starts with a mummification scene when they mummified the father of Akhenaten. And that kind of gave me the idea of creating something in that vein. And I studied the mummification process. And the ancient Egyptians, they use a lot of herbs and resin and spices during that process, and kind of, I study and I look at things that they use, and so I incorporate a lot of those ingredients into the Akhenaten amaro. It's a very, very unusual amaro, has about 45 ingredients, from eucalyptus to sage to all the botanicals, plus a lot of bark and, like hazelnuts and almonds and dates, and then resin as well. And we had tremendous success with that particular amaro. Bloomberg Pursuits named it as one of the best spirits, last year of 2021. Brad Zaff wrote this wonderful little, description about the Amaro. He was the one that, wrote the piece. And it's been consistently very, very, very popular. And we make minuscule amounts of those Amari. I mean, we create, we basically master everything in the basement of Sugarmann, which is tiny. so we can produce like, 30 bottles, 40 bottles every, 7 months or so. So that, minuscule quantities. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that, man. I love the idea that this was a product that's flavorful, that was really inspired by music and the kind of blending of the senses there. And I want to sort of talk about the visuals too, because I the way that this bottle is presented is itself very visually striking.
Yes, we've got a lot of comments. People love that presentation. So basically, we designed the label, and Simon, my partner, he's doing all the graphic design for the labels. And so we found this image of Akhenaton, and then we put this kind of round cycle gold, symbolizing the sun in his forehead. And then we decided to go further, and we wrap the bottle with gases, like the mummies. And we put it inside of a cedar box, like to indicate the casket. And then usually we wrap it nicely with a nice paper, and then we put herbs as well. So it's buried in herbs as well. So when you open the casket, so you get this waft of like amazing aromas from the herbs that we put.
That's cool.
And then you go after, and you see the gas. You have to unwrap it, so it's a whole thing. So people get such a kick out of it. I mean, it's been fun, and it's So. I have some news to share today, which is actually very exciting. We decided to take this project to the next level and start a manufacturing, facility. So we've been under negotiations for many months now with Industry City in Brooklyn. So we going to sign the lease, I think, tomorrow or the day after. We just finally were there, and we're super excited to take this great space in Brooklyn, 2,000 square feet, to start making the Amari and the liqueurs and all the mixology products. And so we're going to become manufacturers now, which is super exciting for us.
Congratulations.
Amazing, Congratulations.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. So, the whole thing started out of this great despair, closed us down, and the whole pandemic, and so that's why we call them like bottles in resilience. Kind of like they really came out of this very difficult time. So
That's. I mean, it's funny to hear how many people have just like been inspired out of necessity to like create and expand their business in ways that they probably wouldn't have done before, and during this time, it's just like, I don't know, it's just good. It's good to hear something positive,
No, absolutely. I mean, yeah, indeed, actually, a lot of people actually came out with so many great ideas, directly an outcome of the pandemic. Yeah. It's exciting, the cocktails to go now. Canned cocktails. I mean, the whole thing started really from that. So, and it's nice. I mean, I love it. And there's some good versions out there. So it's exciting. Yeah. It's very exciting.
And you're using these products in your cocktails, correct?
Yes, a lot of them. It's very hard to keep up, of course, because of the minuscule, quantities, but we do, and we sell them, of course, by the glass, and then we make those liqueurs. Actually, they're kind of also again a usual. We get a lot of ideas from Tama. Tamas is our forager, which I would like to talk about here. She's an amazing woman. So Tama Matsuoka, she's a forager that's been working with a lot of famous chefs like Jean-Georges and Daniel, and she's foraging for them. And then I had the opportunity to meet her one time, and she took us in because she's very picky.
Right.
And she decided to, start foraging for us. And so she would bring me once a month, like kind of a box. She's very minuscule quantities of things that, unusual herbs and, like wild spearmint and, some, like wild cherries and fruit and different stuff. So it's been a constant inspiration to encounter all those, new, ingredients. So we make like Queen Anne's lace liqueur, and we make like fern liqueur, but we call them eau de liqueurs. They're something between eau de vie and a liqueur. They're not very sweet. They're about 40% alcohol, but you get a lot of distinctive flavors. We just made honeysuckle from Tama. She brought me some wonderful honeysuckles in the summer, so we're excited to release this new liqueur.
That sounds
And
awesome.
obviously, we made also more traditional, like framboise, raspberry, and wild blueberries and all that. So, but it's been really great working with her because she's very zen, she's very respectful of nature, and she has a certain philosophy. She used to be a lawyer on Wall Street, and then she decided to give up everything and become a forager. So she started. She bought a farm in New Jersey, and that's how she operates from there now. So
I love hearing that. There's there's so many people recently over the past, I don't know, last decade or so who left finance or law and became
That's right.
big figures in the food and beverage industry, especially in New York. It's just what a cool a cool and reckless thing to do, you spend all this time studying, like almost a decade in law, then all of a sudden you just give it all up to go chase your passion, which is, I just love it. I love that.
No, absolutely. It is chasing your passion. I mean, it's amazing. Sometimes it takes a while, but people eventually find their way, the true calling and, vocation, which is really wonderful to see. And you feel it right away if somebody is really passionate. And I love that. And I always try to inspire my bartenders, based on that. And, we have an incredible team, actually, of very passionate individuals, all highly educated and truly passionate about, the craft and the artistry that comes with it.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I was a graphic designer. I went to school for design. I did it for a little while, kind of hated it. Found myself in, like you, I was curious about, or kind of got into booze really early on. Started collecting cocktail books when I was 12 years old, and when I got into the bar biz, I just knew it was what I needed to be doing. And what I really like about it too is we were talking a little bit before the show, and a little bit during the show about how visual Sugar Monk is, and especially the cocktails. I'm telling everyone who's listening, you got to go check these out. I mean, it's just inspiring looking at photos of them, and the space and the food as well. But the visual aspect of a cocktail, I always say, when you're creating cocktails, make sure they're beautiful, because the first sense you're going to use is your vision. I mean, when it comes to food, it's always olfactory because you can smell the food cooking whenever you walk into a place, or restaurant, bar, home, wherever it is, you can smell the food cooking. And with a cocktail, it's typically you don't smell the cocktail first, you see it first. So make sure it's beautiful, and you've absolutely achieved that. And then some. It's just
thank you,
it's
thank
incredible.
You guys, thanks so much, Damon.
It's like the glassware, the garnishes. I mean, just it's all just so beautiful. And honestly, I feel very inspired just from looking at photos. There's just, it must be especially working with Tama for the foraging. It's then you get these new ingredients occasionally that you've never really considered, but they're seasonal and they're local and they're foraged.
Yes.
It's that inspires you know, between that and the music inspiration, it's like you've got plenty to work with. I feel like, right?
It's fun. I mean, it's fun. It's really, great creative process. I mean, I study arts, I study filmmaking and then visual arts as well. So that definitely informs, this new expression, which I call it liquid art in some ways. So, and our motto is everything matters. Everything matters, from the vessel that you're going to serve the cocktail to the garnishes to the visuals. And obviously, you have to also, make something that tastes good, So, it's exciting to see the bar, because a lot of people love to see the bar towards the bartenders, because, have this very dramatic lighting and spots illuminating their hands. And people get fascinated, about watching them, and as I said, also, they're very, very consistent, and also all of them, they're visually sensitive, and they try to produce something that is, beautiful. And the head bartender, Ryan Garrison, he's also an artist on his own right, and he creates these amazing garnishes out of, different materials, and it's just like stunning. Anyway, yeah, but it's fun. It's really fun, and we're having a great time. And obviously, we're super excited now to go to Brooklyn, and the facility there, we're going to have another bar, called Bitter Monk. So we're going to have Sugar Monk in Harlem and Bitter Monk in Brooklyn. And we're going to feature mostly our products, a lot of the Amari, and, it's a smaller kind of bar, but a lot of spirit-forward cocktails. We're, that's very exciting for us right now.
Great. Well, we can find more information about that as it unfolds, right? On your
Yes, absolutely, indeed.
Your social medias are it's sugarmonklounge.com. But what are you on social media?
Hector SB.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's more like a private, very private in my, own,
But
so
Sugar Monk has an Instagram, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Sugar Monk NYC.
Okay, cool.
Sugar Monk New York, yeah, and it's it's there.
Yeah, everyone should go check it out. I mean, go to the bar, go to the website and the social media. It's really just really beautiful. Just like I can't wait to go there in person. Great. We got to
wait
go.
To have you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we are so looking forward to have you, and please let me know when you decide to visit us.
Absolutely.
Also, I want to mention something about the location a little bit. That has been a little bit of a challenge in terms of like a lot of people, they have this kind of almost prejudice. So I don't know what it is about coming up to Harlem or crossing, going above 59th Street somewhere. So, it's just like we're trying to work on that and trying to get people up there. It's just, it's been a bit of a challenge in that respect. But
Harlem is incredible. It's
incredible. It's really incredible.
To me, it feels like, as you mentioned before, living in the East Village and kind of getting like seeing the changes that happen there. I mean, like Harlem still feels like New York to me.
Yeah, indeed.
There's a lot of history, a lot of excellent restaurants and
oh yes,
good bars.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great, and we get kind of stuck in New York in our routines and our little neighborhoods and like sub neighborhoods and all stuff. But like, I mean, just get on the train. It's going to take you 10 more minutes than.
Yeah, it's nothing. I mean, the express is so fast. Yeah. And it is a very vibrant community. And also, being a business owner in Harlem, also there's this kind of communality, with other business owners. And it's great. I mean, we're all friends. I mean, there's some other great bars like 67 Orange and, so it's just, it's great.
And Red Rooster is always a madhouse, but it's good. I'm just going to Red Rooster too. But yeah, and my favorite is going shows at the Apollo. That is just iconic New York right there. I mean, so there's
such an institution, the Apollo, isn't it? I mean, my goodness, yeah, it's just
like
great
if you haven't been to like Radio City Music Hall, the Apollo, and I don't know, Hammerstein. You know, like you're not doing New York right.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
Absolutely.
Hector, it's been so much fun talking to you today. I'm excited about all the cool stuff you've got going on, and I can't wait to go check it out in person.
Thank you, guys. It's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. And,
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Sorry, Souther wasn't here today, but we'll drag him up there with us.
Catch up with him another time. You know, I love Souther. I mean, he's such a legend. It would have been fun to talk to him about Amari. Actually, I saw him the other day briefly, and I told him a little bit about the project. He says, "Oh, can we make an Amaro together?" I says, "Yes, I would love that."
Sounds like Souther.
Such a sweet man, you know.
Cool. Yeah. Well,
so it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah,
really.
I can't thank you enough for being on the show today. Well, that's it for the Speakeasy this week. Check out Sugar Monk, but check out Heritage Radio Network for many more programs like this one. And until next week, y'all, cheers.
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 So you don't charm the devil with your rock.
The Speakeasy is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network. Food and drink radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.
It's gonna get you some in the end.
Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butz, get big or get out.
You know, it's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be. And realize like, wow, like this piece of legislation, all this money, like it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.